Hey, it's Kaya, and today we're going to be looking at the Kings of the Tarot. So welcome. We've done the pages, the Knights, the Queens, and the Kings, and this is part of the Tarot study group. So this is part of my 18-day tarot program, and also what I offer through my Patreon for my students. And we've already done the pages of the tarot, the Knights and the Queens, and now we're at the King. So I thought it would be really fun to share this with you, to share this instruction with whoever's watching, with whoever wants to come on and see how I teach this course, and how this course can also help you to develop more as a reader. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. So we're going to look at all of the Kings of the Tarot. We have the King of Cups, the King of Swords, the King of Wands, and the King of Pentacles, and all of the court cards. So essentially all of the people in the tarot are categorized relevant to their elemental suit. So as you know, in the tarot, we have 4 suits. They comprise the elementals. So we have the suit of Earth, which is categorized by the Pentacles. We have the suit of Fire, which is represented by the Wands or the Batons in whichever deck you have. We're using the Rider-Waite-Smith deck today to do this lesson. And we have the element of Water, which is represented by the Cups or the Chalices. And we have the element of Earth represented by the Pentacles or the Coins. So why don't we start with our King of Swords. We're going to start with the fastest moving energy, which is the Swords, and we're going to move on to so we're going to go from fastest to slowest. Okay, so we're going to start with our King of Swords here. Here's the King of Swords. So he's element air. This is Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius energy. And if you look at the King of Swords, he's holding, he's got his hand, he's resting his right hand on his lap. It's almost like he's in a posture of, getting ready to get up and go. He's still very much an active king. He's not somebody who just sits around and gets super comfortable. He is someone who is very active. He is, of course, represented by the element of air, which is the higher mind, which is higher consciousness. He has the sword here, which is it's actually a very hard, heavy sword, but he's almost holding it like effortlessly. And he's very balanced as well. So on his left, in the left hand, which is his feminine side, he's holding the sword. And then on his right hand, the right side, which is his masculine side, he's just resting his hand on his lap, and it's like he's in a position where he's ready to go. You'll notice that he has the clouds here behind him, and those clouds represent wisdom. They also represent the mind, and the mind's journey to be above the clouds, so to speak, so to be above illusion. His throne is above these lofty clouds. There's still a little bit of a cloud there, because obviously everyone is still in a process of evolution. But the clouds and also the trees down here, it's almost like he's being propelled up in the sky, like he's just really lofty in the sky. And then you'll notice that he's got the butterfly with the 2 crescent moons there at the top on his throne, and the butterfly is a symbol of transformation. And then of course the crescent moons, the one with the horns pointing to the right and the one with the horns pointing to the left, represent the mind and represent the process of letting go and also welcoming in. What else can we see with our King of Swords? His garment is mostly blue, and this is also like the High Priestess's gown. So the blue represents the higher mind, also our intuitive capacity. It represents our emotions, represents our psychic intuition, our psychic wisdom. And you'll notice that he has sort of like a brown cloak over top here, so that's very earthly. He's still somebody who is quite grounded, even though he is an elemental air sign, which element air tends to be of the higher mind. It's a little bit of a challenge to ground, but he has that grounding cloak. And then he also has the red underneath, which of course represents passion, represents that root chakra energy, that grounding energy. So he's really a king that has fully developed himself. I'm just going to show you a contrast to the Knight of Swords. So he's not quite a king yet. He's on his way. He's not a page, but he's not a king. So there's the Knight of Swords, right? And he's just racing towards what his desire, racing towards what he wants. And even his horse is racing with him, you know, very, very fast moving energy. I don't know if you can see that card. It is getting kind of dark when I bring it close. I'm not sure why it's doing that.
Or what?
1 second.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm back. So there he is. That's a little bit better, right? So he's racing towards his goal. And he also has, there's a lot of butterflies that are on his horse. He has a lot of red. He's even wearing one red glove on the left side, and that's his feminine side. And you'll notice that when he shows up here on his throne as the King of Swords, he doesn't have that red glove on anymore. You know, he's taken off that red glove. It's also a glove of protection. And now he's just holding it on his side, and he's ready to get up and act if he needs to. So as a personality court card, when the King of Swords shows up, he is someone who is highly intellectual. For him, he cares more about the higher pursuits, the higher power. He cares more about intellectualism. He cares more about elevating his consciousness than he does about things of the world, as, for instance, juxtaposed to the King of Pentacles, who's very much a three-dimensional king, even though he is the greatest manifester of all the kings and all the court cards, because he is element earth. Now, one thing to note, really important, is that all the kings in the suit, in the tarot, all the kings, and in relation to their suit, all the kings are element air. So here we have double air, because he is a King of Swords, and swords is the element of air, and all the kings are air. So here he's got double air. Double air, this means that he's someone who is very much committed to the higher mind, committed to the pursuit of higher consciousness. When he shows up in a reading in his higher polarity, so when he's in the upright position, this represents someone who can be very decisive. They know what they want, and they will go after what they want. They're also excellent communicators. This is the King of Swords. They're excellent communicators. They can be very, very diplomatic as well if they need to be. Their words are really their power and their strength. And their intellect is also their greatest asset. So this is the King of Swords in his higher polarity. There's always a higher and a lower. In the lower polarity, the King of Swords can be a little bit of a jerk. In his lower polarity, he can be very cutthroat. He's not able to control this cloak here, the red that he's got underneath, right? He's hiding it. He's showing it a little bit, but he's got the grounded cloak, the brown over top. So he is someone who, in his higher polarity, likes to be in control of his emotions. But in his lower polarity, he may find it hard to control his impulses, his rage, his anger, and his emotions. And he may show up as someone who is very cutthroat, someone who's very cunning, someone who will say whatever it takes to get their way because they know that they are very good with words. So there is our King of Swords. Okay, and this is Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Now we move on to our King of Wands, because Wands, fire element, is the second fastest moving energy when we talk about the elementals. So here we have a king that seems a little bit more comfortable on his throne than the King of Swords, right? Even though he's not laying back, he's not sitting back, he's still in a position where he can get up at any moment and get going, right? And he also has his left hand on his lap, and then on his right hand, he has the wand. And this wand is very much alive. The wand isn't dead. It's not a dead piece of wood. You can see the beautiful foliage and leaves that are growing out of the wand. So it's very much alive. And the wand represents spirituality, spiritual pursuits, creative endeavors. So it's a wand of magic, truly. He is a great manifester. He has a beautiful creative mind. He is of the element fire. So when he shows up in a reading, this could be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, even though he is usually seen as the sign of Leo, the King of Wands. And he also has these beautiful salamanders. If you notice, he has the salamanders on the back here of his throne, and then he also has the salamanders all around here, and the salamanders are also a symbol of transformation. So he's very much about transformation. Fire truly does transform, and when fire fully breaks through something, it creates some of the richest soil, right? So through this really hard transformation, somebody comes out much stronger and much richer, such as our King of Wands here. And you'll notice that he's holding that wand pretty comfortably, but if we look here at our Knight of Wands, right? So it's interesting because the Knight of Wands also has that red glove. You see that little red glove that the King of Swords the Knight of Swords has. And he also has the salamanders, right? So here he's still protecting himself. And on his left hand, which is his feminine side, he is holding the wand. And interestingly enough, interestingly enough, I actually just noticed this. When he becomes a king, he now holds the wand with his right hand, with his masculine side. So he's come into full integrity and wholeness with himself and with the mastery of his suit, the suit of wands. It's interesting that I hadn't noticed that before. Now I have to look at the King of Swords with the Knight of Swords really quickly and see if the same theme happens there. Okay, I actually see that if you look at the Knight of Swords, he holds it in his left hand. Oh, he does, he holds it in his right hand, and he's still holding it in his right hand, right? So with the King of Swords, very masculine energy, and in fact, all of the air signs are masculine signs. So he holds the sword in his right hand as the Knight and as the King of Swords, right? And with the fire energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, those are also masculine signs, but he's got that nice balance. He's holding it first in his right side, so his feminine side, and then he holds it, he assumes it with his masculine side. So that's really beautiful. All right, what else can we say about this King of Wands? The King of Wands always has a salamander. You'll see the salamander show up in the page, when he shows up as the Page of Wands, when he shows up as the Knight of Wands, and when he shows up as the King of Wands. So here he is as the Page of Wands, and you see those salamanders or chameleons. This is part of his nature because he's very quixotic, but he's also very transformative. So when he shows up in a reading, he is someone that is very, very passionate. They're very passionate about the work they do. The Wands is also spirituality, spiritual pursuits, creative endeavors. So he's someone that may be entrepreneurial in nature as well. He's someone that comes in with a great transformative power as well. He has the red cloaking him. So this is also the red of Mars, the red of Aries, even though he is traditionally Leo when you see him as a single card in a reading. As a standalone, he is Leo, so they're always 2/3 one sign and then 1/3 of the sign that comes before them. So he is 1/3 Cancer and 2/3 Leo. But he also is Aries, Leo, Sagittarius because he is representing the fire elements. And he also has this wild crown on him, and it's a fire crown. So there's just the fire motifs repeat everywhere. He is someone who has very creative ideas. Sometimes in his lower polarity, his mind may be on fire to the point where he can't focus on one single thing. So let's talk about his higher polarity and his lower polarity as the King of Wands. In his higher polarity, he is someone that knows how to get things done. He has ideas. He's an entrepreneur. A lot of the King of Wands show up as entrepreneurs. They have entrepreneurial gifts. They have very unique gifts to offer to the world. It's hard for them because of their fiery nature to be dominated or to be subservient to anyone. So you'll usually see them being the bosses of their own companies, of the work that they do. They're also spiritual leaders. So in his higher polarity, he's someone that can show others the way. He's someone who has conquered, he went to war, he conquered. When you see him in the Seven of Wands, he truly went through his battles, and he comes in victoriously and full of success. So that's our King of Wands. That's how he shows up. Now we're going to look at our King of Cups, and I love the King of Cups. He is, they're all unique and they're all beautiful and special, but he really is my favorite because he is the King of Hearts. He is the King of Love. So here we have the King of Cups. And everyone knows that I love love, everything to do with love. So there's our King of Cups, and he has the beautiful blue cloak, similar to the King of Swords of the High Priestess, right? So he is very much an intuitive king as well. He is very, very in tune with his nature, with his emotions. As the King of Cups, he has now mastered himself. He has mastered his emotions. We also see that in his right hand, he holds the cup, and the cup looks comfortable. It is a little bit big for a cup, but if you notice him here, when he's the Page of Cups, so he's still a little young buck here, he's still developing himself and his emotions and his emotional maturity. The cup looks a little bit exaggerated here. The cup is a little bit too big. He's not quite able to fit these, fill this cup yet. And he's got a little fish coming out of the cup, kind of like very comically, saying, "Hey, like you this is what's in there. There's a fish." And the fish is also a symbol of the water element, so it's, in a way, the fish is a representation of himself, but he's not yet a king. He's a fish, right? He's not yet the ocean. He's the fish in the ocean. He's the drop in the ocean. So that's a really cool way of approaching the Page of Cups. And then we notice also that the King of Cups is, he's got his crown has multi-level. It's a multi-level crown, which also represents the Trinity, right? And he's also on water, and water represents his suit, the emotions. Our King of Cups is Scorpio, so he is 2/3 Scorpio and 1/3 Libra. So all the kings are 2/3 their sign and 1/3 the sign that comes before them. So here we have a king who is both air and water, because all the kings are air. So here we have a king that's both air and water. So in his higher polarity, he can be someone who is very much, a lover of all things. He's able to appreciate love and beauty in all things, right? He truly is beautiful. And in his lower polarity, he may be very impulsive with his emotions. In his lower polarity, he may be someone who gets very jealous or possessive or angry, someone who allows those emotions to truly overflow and not be in control, not be in a state of peace and equanimity. So that's in his lower polarity. But in his higher polarity, he's truly the King of Cups. He's the King of Hearts. He's someone who has mastered his emotions. He is someone who is mature, somebody who has a big, strong cup to offer of love. It's overflowing with abundance as well, because the cups also represent abundance in all its forms. So there is our King of Cups. And I'm going to have some water. His element. Okay, now we're moving on to the last king. This is the slowest of the elements. This is the element of earth. So we started with air, with our King of Swords. We moved on to our King of Wands, rather, and then our King of Cups, and lastly is our King of Pentacles. I'm just trying to find him here. There is our King of Pentacles right there, and he's sitting lofty on his throne. and he is surrounded by abundance. He is surrounded by life. He has the two bulls on either side of his throne. He has the beautiful pentacle here, which represents abundance, but also it comprises all of the elementals. He's truly worked hard to get where he is. When he was the Knight of Pentacles, he was very slow moving, very methodical. In fact, of all the knights, the Knight of Pentacles is the one who takes the longest to arrive at his success because he is very methodical. He thinks before he acts, whereas in contrast to the Knight of Swords is someone who puts his sword first. So he puts his mouth before before the thinking, before the intellect, and then ergo being a Knight of Swords, right? So in his higher polarity, he's someone who he's truly matured into his power. He's usually very entrepreneurial himself. He represents the element of our earth. So he is Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. He is 2/3 Taurus, and he is 1/3 Aries. And he's someone who is very lofty and very abundant, someone who has taken their time to build their empire. So they have great experience, a wealth of knowledge before them, and they're someone who can truly be a mentor to others because they've crossed all their T's, they've dotted all their I's, they have gone through the entire process. And if this king is represented by a Capricorn, we know Capricorn is ruled by the planet of karma, Saturn, which makes it really, really hard for people to find success, but they just keep picking themselves up. So if they arrive to this kingdom, to this throne, it means that they really have earned where they are. This is the King of Pentacles, and I absolutely adore him. I've actually started to really have more appreciation for him because I have my Mercury in Taurus, and he is someone who I see as a mentor, someone that I see as a guide, as a spiritual guide. He's also a great manifester. He is air and he is earth. He is able to understand the going-ons of the world. He's able to navigate through the world. This doesn't mean that he's not spiritual. It doesn't mean he's not interested in the higher mind or higher consciousness like the King of Swords is, but he is somebody who is much more grounded in reality. There's our King of Pentacles. So that has it for the Kings. I hope that you enjoyed that little lesson. This was a sneak peek into my tarot course, into how I teach, my teaching style, and this was the kings of the suit that we did today. But in my course, we look at the pages, we look at the knights, we look at the queens, and then finally we arrive at the kings. So there you have it. Thank you all for watching. Thank you so much. If you have questions at this point, because this is a live, please go ahead with your questions. Welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. Let me know what you thought about the course. Oh, you're welcome. You're so welcome. I hope you enjoyed that, and if anyone's interested in doing the course, I'm actually offering the entire 18-day course. It includes workshops, it includes us really going deep and immersive in the study of tarot. So if you want to be part of that, if you want to become an expert reader, if you want to become someone who can, maybe you don't want to read cards professionally, but maybe you want to understand yourself better. And truly, tarot is a beautiful way to do that and to develop yourself. It helps you gain insight into, some of those hard questions that we really need to go inside. We need to tap into our own intuitive powers in order to find, and tarot gives us that guidance. Tarot is that anchor and that mentor for us. So if anyone's interested, I am offering the entire 18-day course on my Patreon, and you can pause your membership at any time. You can cancel your membership at any time, and there is absolutely no penalty. So let me know, and I'm really happy that you enjoyed it. Yes, Spellbound Girl Tarot. She did the beginner course, the beginner 18-day course, and now she's doing the master tarot course, and I'm super proud of her and all her development. So thank you all for watching. I really, really appreciate that. I'm really happy that I completed this this course today for the Kings. That was our last, and we had a lot of work to do. So I'm glad that is over. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you soon. Namaste.